Welcome to podcast number 3. This will be about turning accountabilities into goals and targets. So again, I'm focused more on the operations and manufacturing side of leadership, but this applies to pretty well any industry. I've been an operations leader for almost 20 years, and this is my podcast, Leadership Unscripted, and I hope that you can learn something through this. And as always, if you have any questions or you want some advice on a situation, I can help you through that. Just send me an email. You can find my email on my YouTube channel. So when we talk about accountabilities regarding your job description, your role, what your boss is hounding you on, that's the types of things that I'm talking about when we say accountabilities. And we want to turn those into goals and targets with actionable plans so that we can really focus on the things that are probably stressing you out because you get emails from your boss or their boss. So as an operations leader, you want to make sure that you're focusing on goals and targets that are going to benefit the company while also benefiting yourself so that you can feel more passion and purpose, as I talked about in my previous podcast, and that you're not so sucked, the life's not sucked right out of you. So again, looking at your job description, reading through your job description and seeing the things that are specific in there. Are there some key things that you're required to perform on, your team's required? Jot those down. Look, quality, efficiency, supply costs, continuous improvement, idea generation, continuous improvement savings, whatever it is. So jotting those couple of things down and then looking at the directives you get from your boss. So if you have to, journal it for a while. Look at the emails. Look at the past emails that your boss has been sending. Hey, why is the quality down? Hey, why is the quality down? You keep seeing those common emails. Okay, obviously that's one that you're going to have on this paper that you're sort of establishing. What are the accountabilities that you're required to be performing in, and your team's required to be performing in? So that's what I mean by the directives from your boss. So now let's say you've got 10 items. As I mentioned, quality, efficiency, supply costs, continuous improvement. Maybe you have a bad safety culture and you got a bunch of first aids, those types of things. Jotting those down and then prioritizing them in order of what is first most important to the business, because the business needs to be ongoing and pursuing a long life, and then also what's stressing you out because you want to be motivated to motivate your team. So getting those prioritized to about 4 or 5 items. The next step is if you're managing a department of, let's say, 150 people, well, if you have a efficiency target of 108% on that large operations department of 150 people, how are you going to possibly perform better when you're just looking at all the data from all sources of production? You got to be able to start breaking it down. So if there's departments already broken down, great. And maybe you're already set up like this. But if you're not, if you have 10 departments, you have this manufacturing department, you have this assembly department, you have this quality department. Well, then you need to break down your efficiency targets within those subgroups so that you're driving accountability, you're passing a portion of your accountability onto your supervisors and your leaders, who are also paid to perform and have their department perform. When you're not passing accountabilities onto the subgroups, then you're allowing those leaders to underperform in a sense, and their teams to underperform because they're not focusing on their own performance. If they don't have direct targets and actions to recoup lost efficiencies. So it's really important to segregate and divide out your targets. So if you have, let's say, 20 safety incidents a year, and you're trying to cut down to 50%, let's say 10 safety incidents this year, and you have 10 departments where you can say, okay, each department, you're allowed to have one safety incident or one first aid, whatever it is. So then now they have a target to try to hit. So if they exceed, if they have more than one, well, then they really need to overly perform for the remainder of the year to try to make sure that they don't have a second one. So now you're driving accountabilities, and you're not only are you helping to drive the performance, but each individual team is willing to help improve the performance. Another thing is, when you're coming up with these targets and goals, getting your supervisors or your leaders together and saying, okay, this is my suggestion of how we do this. I want your feedback. So you take their feedback and you reassess. And once you've generally come up with something that's substantial and suitable for the organization, then you roll it out, because now you've gotten buy-in. So when they come back in 6 months, say, hey, that's not fair, we can say, you know what, I did give you opportunity to speak, you didn't say anything, so this is the target now. So it's really important to get buy-in from your leaders. A really critical thing is creating cross-competition with your teams and broadcasting their performance. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly harassing the two underperforming leaders, or the two leaders that procrastinate all the time. Maybe they're not underperforming, but let's say they're more just procrastinating leaders. They're great, they're technically sound, but they just procrastinate and they always need to be pushed. So to help push, you can put all the 10 departments on a sheet, post it on the wall for everybody to see, and then post the performance. This way, if everybody's performing exceptionally well, all 8 departments and 2 departments are extremely underperforming, they will see that themselves, that they're underperforming in comparison to the others, and they will likely do a little bit to get caught back up. But when the performance is hidden from everybody else, it's less likely that their pride's going to kick in. So basically, by doing this cross competition and posting everybody's performance, you're causing their own internal pride to help drive them versus you pushing them. So you pushing them is just micromanaging and annoying. Them seeing their own underperformance and being driven because of their own pride of not wanting to look that bad is a better scenario. Then you're not called out as a micromanager, and their own procrastination is managed by themselves. That is a really critical thing to do, and I've done that in many different companies I've been at. So I have a lot of examples I can help you implement that across any sort of industry that you want. Again, send me an email and we can go through your scenarios. We can get on a Teams or a Google chat call and go through your scenarios. At this point in my podcast, I'm still a small channel. So right now I'm just trying to help people. So, I'm not looking for money here to help you. I really want to help people perform better. So yeah, just contact me and we can go over your specific scenarios. Another thing is, once you've gone through all this, in about 3 months from now, look back at the performance of your teams, look back at the most recent emails and see what your boss is emailing you about now. Have you seen that there's been a reduction in them having to micromanage you, and that they're seeing the way you're managing is suitable, and they're not hounding you, they're not harassing you as much. So it's good to reassess all this in about 3 months, and then readjusting goals, the way that you're doing your cross competition and your broadcasting and your displaying of targets, if that's being effective. Don't continue to do the same thing. After 3 months, if you're still seeing the exact same communication from your boss, you're seeing the same underperformance from your leaders, you can't continue doing the same thing. You need to reassess and look at alternatives. What are the next steps? Maybe there is maybe the fact that you've segregated and separated performance by leaders, that's working well, but you're still seeing there's a couple of leaders that are just not performing, and you're always having to hound them. Perhaps your boss isn't harassing you as much, but you're still stressing yourself out because you got leaders that are just constantly, you see them spending time not doing work-related stuff, yet they don't have time to do the things that are important for what they're getting paid for. At that point, you need to start looking at, are those the right leaders? Is there something else they can do in the company? And that's something you have to really assess. So just something to consider. Don't continue to do the same things that you've done in the past. It's really important to, after a few months, try something differently. As I mentioned earlier, if you have any scenarios or you want to know in your particular situation how you take those accountabilities and how you separate them into subgroups for your departments, send me an email. Let's go through your specific organization, and I can help you create those targets within your subgroups and make you look like a top excelling leader within your organization, and people will be like, wow, this guy's amazing. I can definitely help you with that. But anyways, I appreciate you sticking around and listening to some of this advice. And as always, subscribe to the channel. It just helps me to get this broadcast out to more people, as I really want to help leaders within the operations and similar industries perform better and not be so stressed out in their job, and actually look forward to going to work each day.